I'm going to go over how I found clarity on what I wanted to do with my life. I was in a situation for so long where I was just trying to want to work hard. I wanted to do all these things, but I didn't know what to work hard towards. I had so much ambition and I really wanted to crush it, but I didn't know what the fuck to do. So I started when COVID hit. Me and PJ, who's in the coffee shop over there still, we're in Peru right now, when we were juniors in high schools, we started to sell nicotine, which was just fucking vapes for kids, or other high schoolers. Every single person did them, so we were selling them, and we were doing very well. And I decided, you know what, this business stuff is really fun. It was junior year, COVID hit, and I was fucking stuck inside. And I just started reverting to my mean. I was playing video games every day. I was just wasting my life away. And then I said, fuck it, I'm gonna change my life. I wanna do something. And I had no clue what I wanted to do. And this was a long period of time. So I just started reading business books. First book I read was Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. Now he's a client of mine, which is awesome. Andy's a really good friend. Whenever I'm in Arizona, we hang out every single week. But besides the point, I read his book and I'm like, fuck, what the fuck am I doing with my life? And I was pissed. I remember feeling more lost. I read the book and I was fired up, but I'm like, now what the fuck do I do? Buy assets? I have no money. What the hell am I supposed to do? And so I was like, I gotta read the next book. So I started reading more and more and more business books. And then I'm like, well, this business stuff seems awesome, but what the fuck do I do? So I remember I watched like a e-commerce trading thing or something where I was like, hey, you can make money online by getting shit from China and then selling it to the US. And I'm like, fuck it, that seems easy. That seems super easy. It would take a sped nut to be able to do this. I try it and I fail miserably. I'm like, fuck, what the hell do I do now? This sucks. And so I stumbled upon a macroeconomic podcast with Robert Kiyosaki and George Gammon. And I was like, what the fuck are they talking about? At the time, during COVID, everyone on the news was saying, if you go outside, you're gonna kill your family. Nothing was making sense. In my head, something just seemed off. I'm like, if I'm running outside, how is that going to come home and kill my grandmother by getting COVID? It just seemed off. And for some reason, George Gammon was able to explain what was going on in the world better than any newscaster. And I believed it, that a lot of this COVID stuff was complete scam, that it was just a ploy for the government to take more power. And he described a big libertarian argument. And I'm like, wow, I don't even know what the fuck he's talking about, but it makes sense to me. And then he described the economic impacts that were going to happen from the lockdowns and all these things. And I'm like, this makes sense. I'm like, I don't know what the fuck I want to do with my life, but I want to figure what you're talking about out. I don't know what the fuck you're saying, but I want to understand it. It sounds like a foreign language. And so I made the decision that day. I remember I was looking out my window, I was sitting in my room and I was looking out at the woods behind the house. And I was thinking, I have no clue what I want to do with my life. I have no clue. But I know that if I can figure this stuff out, what George Gammon is talking about, I'll have a better idea. And so that's what I did. I started to spend every single day studying macroeconomics, studying business. And I was reaching out to every single one of these people, asking if I could work for them for free, asking if I could pay to work for them, just trying to do anything humanly possible. Eventually, George was the person I wanted to work for. He was having a birthday party in Scottsdale, Arizona. To this point in my life, I had never been on a plane, ever, not one single time. I was living in Boston, Massachusetts, and I said, I'm gonna go. I said, but I've already been reaching out to this guy every single day for months to try and work for him. I haven't even gotten a fucking message back. What the hell, George? What can I do that's gonna stand out? His logo was based off a book that I just finished, Atlas Shrugged by Ayn Rand, which was a philosophical fiction book on basically the libertarian argument or philosophical debate. And it was a 1,000-page book and it completely changed the outlook of my life. That book made me say, I'm going to drop out of high school and I want to give a John Galt speech. If you've read the book, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But if you don't, I don't have time to explain. So I got his logo, which was based on that book, tattooed on my leg. And I said, if I have a business 5 years from now and someone got my logo tattooed on them, I would give them a chance. And then if I had the receipts to show that I've been trying to reach out, I might think it's weird, but I would let them work for me. Just because of how crazy they are. Because they're clearly showing, in my head I was saying skin in the game. And so I got skin in the game, I got his logo tattooed on me, I flew across the country, I met him for the first time, and I harassed him until he let me work for him. And then I really started to get some momentum. I moved from Boston to Arizona to work for him full time, and I'm doing macroeconomic research. At the time, I'm like, fuck, well, I'm really not making as much progress as I want. What the fuck do I do? And I found a hole in the system, or I found an opportunity, I should say. The opportunity was all of these people, George and his friends, who were Ken McElroy, Robert Kiyosaki, all of these guys that were pretty big names, were saying that they just wanted more lead gen for their business. And the way that they were getting it was through YouTube. And so I was like, well, these guys have the best information, but they don't get the most views in the space. So what do the people that get the most views in the space do differently than them? And then what if we can implement those same strategies, but to the better information that these guys have? And so it was trying to figure out how to get the most views. And then I started a little side business, which was helping people do that. And now that's turned into a business where we have 20 full-time people. We have a dozen clients, doing all the organic media, 100% of everything, all the back-end funnels. We're converting all the traffic. We're getting into customers for them. And now it's turning into, it's still a small business, but it is incredible how far you've progressed. But I didn't start in wanting to do that. I just started with trying to learn a skill that I could use to learn from people that I respected. And then I found what they needed once I started working for them. And so the business model you start with is usually not the one that you're going to finish with. The key is just starting and sticking to something until you can actually make money from it and start to build momentum. Because anything works. You can make money doing anything. There's literally no business model that you couldn't find a way to make profitable. You just need to stick to it. Every single person just bounces from idea to idea to idea. And that's just never the case. That is never how any person has ever been successful. You've never heard of someone say, I'm just so glad I switched up on every single business model I've had every 6 months and trying something new. It just doesn't happen. Every big business, I spent 10 years building this one thing and now it's turned into this big thing. And that's what happens to everybody.